Good evening, my name's Alex Campbell and you're watching Dissecting Who. On this episode I'll be dissecting the Android Invasion, a serial written by Terry Nation, creator of the Daleks. This serial begins with Tom and Elisabeth landing on Earth and encountering a fierce force. A bunch of masked men attack them, but for me the tension and suspense wasn't quite there. I think a large part of this is that this was filmed on location and is in high natural light, so it just didn't have that anxiety, tension-filled feeling for me. If it was in a studio and it was lit dark and it had some ominous music, it would have worked a lot better.
Oh wait, Doctor. I don't like the look of them.
What? Please excuse me. Could you be very kind and tell us where we are?
So there's a scene where Sarah Jane Smith almost rolls off the edge of a cliff and the Doctor pulls her up at the last moment. But they obviously couldn't find an adequate location because the cliff that they chose is just a hill and she could have just stood up and clambered up by herself. She wasn't actually in any danger at all.
Sarah! Don't look down!
Also, if she had rolled to the bottom of this ravine, she would have been perfectly fine. So I guess they just couldn't find a good enough location to convey this danger. From memory, this exact thing also happens to Elisabeth Sladen in the serial The Five Doctors. Sarah is on the brink of death on the edge of a cliff, but they can't film it on an actual cliff. They couldn't find a proper location. And John Pertwee's Doctor saves her in the same fashion, and there's no tension because it's clear to the audience that this isn't a cliff. Why does this keep on happening to Sarah? Just film it some other way if you can't do it with a real cliff. Otherwise, the scene doesn't work.
Catch all of this! Yes.
There is a really good scene in this serial early on which sets the dark, ominous, Terry Nation-esque tone where a malfunctioning android jumps off a cliff and the Doctor and Sarah see this and think it's a real man committing suicide. The music and the sound effects and the way it was shot by Barry Letts is just perfect and it works.
Stop, man. Stop!
So the eeriness rolls on as the Doctor and Sarah enter an oddly surreal, empty town. And the way it's shot and the way that Elisabeth and Tom react, their acting is on point. And also the idea of an empty town has always really resonated with me. I just really like the idea of it. I've always wanted to go to Chernobyl as a holiday and just wander around the dilapidated buildings.
Anyone about? Anyone? No one about. Let's try the pub.
So the first episode of this serial has good pacing and has a good ramp up of escalating tension. There's this odd bar scene.
I must clear this out.
And this reveal of this android. These moments all come at the right time in the narrative, about 5 minutes away so from each other, just ramping up the tension increment by increment. Listen to the sound effect of these doors opening when the Doctor enters. Sounds like a tiger roaring. Fucking weird, eh? There's a scene where the Doctor tries to contact UNIT to help him out, and he's apprehended and held at gunpoint. And in every scene where the Doctor is held captive and forcefully they try to drain him of information, the Fourth Doctor did this great thing where he deflected every single bit of tension with humour, and Tom was just great at performing it, and all the writers were great at just getting that witty, snappy humour down. And I just love the idea of the Doctor not caring one iota that he's in a hostile scenario.
I see, you're the Doctor.
Yes.
Yes, I've heard of you.
Good. Who are you?
I'm the senior defense astronaut, Guy Crayford.
Well, how do you...
Get your hands up, Doctor, thank you. You could be an imposter, couldn't you?
Look, I've got a suggestion. My arms are beginning to ache. Why not call Lethbridge Stewart and get him to identify me?
Lethbridge Stewart is in Geneva. Colonel Faraday is in command.
If you're calling the butler, I'm very partial to tea and muffins.
And if de-escalating the situation with humour doesn't work, you can always flip the table and run.
Not detention. Not detention. You see, I suffer from...
Our android antagonists then begin to pursue the Doctor and Sarah, and we get a cliche girl sprains her ankle scene. We also get a mysterious half reveal of our true enemies. Sarah is eventually captured and they scan her brain, making a copy of her. And the way they use the lighting in this scene as a story element is creative.
She's ready.
Commence the analysis of the brain.
Can I get you a drink, sir?
Yes, I'll have a pint.
A pint of what?
Ginger beer.
Pussy. The Doctor, not knowing where Sarah is, goes back to the bar to investigate it further. And this scene is exquisite in its execution. There's all these little hints that the Doctor discovers and begins unraveling. There's a calendar with the same day on it again and again. All the money is brand new and has been minted and has no scratches or grease on it. The dartboard is brand new, and the interplay between the Doctor and this bartender is just beautifully acted on both parts.
Yeah. Plastic horse brass. I've arranged to wait for someone here. Don't let me detain you.
That's all right.
Well, I can see you're a busy man. Barrels to tap, empties to count, that sort of thing.
No hurry for that.
Right, then I'll have another pint.
A pint of what?
Well, ginger pop, please.
It's revealed to the audience that the intention of the main enemy antagonists is to figure out how to create perfect replicas of human beings. Now, the androids in this serial are really cool, they're well handled and they're filled with tension, but the main alien antagonists just don't work. They're a bit silly, The costumes and the masks are good enough, but tonally it would have fitted with a more fun, upbeat, kid-style story, not a dark, Terry Nation, more realistic tone. So unfortunately that's a big aspect of the episode which falls a bit flat. The Kraals, they're bland.
If the androids were to fail in their task, the Kraal invasion of Earth could not even begin. Suppose the Doctor were to turn the androids against us. It would jeopardize the whole operation.
Impossible!
Is it? He's a scientist too, Stigron.
What have you done with Sarah? Where is the real Sarah?
Oh my god! Sarah's an android! In all seriousness though, this is one of the most memorable cliffhangers of the Tom Baker era for me personally. So it turns out that the Doctor and Sarah did not land on Earth at all, and this whole time they've been in a simulation of a quiet English town. This is an interesting sci-fi concept and I enjoy it. Then the whole illusion is disbanded and the depths of this deception is revealed to us with some pretty decent special effects 40 plus years later. This episode marks Ian Marter's last performance as Harry Sullivan. Harry Sullivan was a good character, but he was cast with the idea of the Doctor maybe being an old man instead of Tom Baker, so his character never really worked. The dynamic of him and Sarah and the Doctor just didn't gel right, they didn't have the right chemistry. But either way, he did a good job and I'll be sad to see him go, even though
Harry Sullivan is an imbecile!
So the serial got to a point where I was about halfway and I had an interesting idea. I thought it'd be interesting if the villains weren't actually malicious. They weren't making this simulation of Earth for any dark intent, and that Sarah and Tom just got stuck in it out of a misunderstanding. But that's not how it panned out. They're just evil. Evil.
Another of my foolish experiments. The virus which our androids will use to cleanse the Earth of its human population has only been proved in laboratory conditions. I wish to test it on a living human organism. Good. That is a good idea, Stigron.
So our main characters escape the alien planet and actually make it down to Earth this time. At this point, there are android duplicates of both the Doctor and Sarah. And I like the idea of different versions of our main characters all running around with different motivations and different acting styles from these slightly two different characters. It's a theme that David Lynch plays with a lot in his movies and television shows.
You're not the real Doctor.
Check out the Fourth Doctor escaping this scenario.
For a moment, I thought I was seeing double.
That's fucking brilliant. If anything gets fucking extreme, I'm gonna do the exact same thing, just fucking run and jump out the closest window. Terry Nation went to a big effort in the script to play cat and mouse games with the audience, not quite telling them which is the real Doctor, which is the real Sarah, which is the android Doctor, which is the android Sarah. And I appreciate those scenes playing out and me trying to figure it out based on dialogue and the subtle acting by Tom Baker and Elisabeth Sladen.
Hold it, Doctor.
Don't be a fool, Benton. I'm one of you.
Satisfied.
In the end, we get a techno-babble explanation as to how the Doctor was able to disable the androids.
Could you do that?
Well, it's possible. It'll take a bit of time, though. I'll have to rejig about 11 circuits there.
All right, will you get on with it?
We also get a cool Tom vs. Tom fight in where an acting double for Mr. Baker is used with some creative shot framing and editing techniques. In conclusion, this episode stars Tom Baker as the Doctor, Elisabeth Sladen as his companion. It's produced by Philip Hinchcliffe and written by Terry Nation. What can I say, but the golden age of Doctor Who produces another Silver? I mean, this serial was good. I really liked all the android stuff, and the tone and pacing worked some of the time, but a lot of the time it fell flat. For me, the actual alien antagonists just didn't suit this serial right. They didn't quite gel and function as antagonists. They looked a bit silly, and there was just some pacing issues. Other than that, you know, Tom's on point, Elizabeth's on point. Philip Hinchcliffe made some changes to this serial which improved it tenfold. But not quite there. Not quite there. That is grading it against the greatest era of Doctor Who, though. Thank you for watching, and it'd really help out if you could like, subscribe, and in the comments tell me how I got all the facts wrong and how my opinion is null and void. Thank you, and good night.